again, how are you today and where are you dialing from?
I'm dying. I'm very good. As you say in America, no, I was in England. I'm very well. And I'm dialing in from Madrid, where it's getting to be 40 degrees today.
Oh, wow, because I'm from Poland and it's pretty cold today here. So, well, thank you so much for finally joining my hot seat session where we help companies and businesses all over the world to address their blind spots and gain competitive edge with the help of our wonderful community, which is you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your expertise.
Okay, my name's David Rigby. I'm from England. I've worked in 22 different countries and quite a long time in Dubai. I now live in Spain. My expertise these days, I run a company called Smart Coaching and Training where I provide other people to do what I used to do, which includes speaking and training and coaching and consulting. I specialize in diversity and many other topics, such as psychological safety. I teach things like leadership and communication. And I look after my team like GLEAC looks after its members.
Great, thank you. So, first things first, as we're going to talk about cognitive diversity, tell me what it is exactly and why it's important to for companies to pay attention to it.
Okay, diversity is usually about having women on the board, having different sexualities, different races, different ages. But most people tend to recruit people who are like them. So it doesn't matter where they come from, etc., etc. They still recruit people exactly like them. And what you really need on a properly diverse team is people who don't think like you. So, for example, many leaders tend to be extroverts and they tend to be extremely logical and very, very direct. And what you want is a team of people who can work in the detail. You want a team of people who can work with emotion. You can work with people who are very extrovert and good at presenting. So what you really want is a team that's full of all of those different kinds of people. And that's where we use profiling tools for to identify A, your current team members, what groups they belong into, and second, if you're recruiting, to know what kind of person you are looking for in terms of their cognitive diversity. So building that team is in many ways much more important than finding individuals for exactly the right job because they have to work together. And you
Mhm.
need you need a team which threatens and challenges the management and has bright ideas and is controversial compared with possibly what the organization has done before. So cognitive diverse means you've got thinkers and feelers, you've got introverts and extroverts, all of them in your team. And you just may not get that if you continue to recruit people exactly like you. I have this fear for me, and my team's all over the world, but I still think they might be all like me, and that's my big fear. But I do my best to be cognitively diverse, and that's why you need it.
Wonderful. So, from what you're telling me, I understand why it's so important. But I feel like a lot of companies they do acknowledge that. But when they try to do that, implement that diversity, they probably come across a lot of potential barriers. What are these barriers and how can you overcome them?
You have to overcome them by recognizing your own inhibitions, your own fears, because there's nothing like having the diverse person in your team who questions you and you don't like the answers and you don't like the questions. And you have to get over that because that's how you're going to be strong enough to brave the rest of the world. Typically, let's say that it divides into four: the introverts and the extroverts and the logical and emotional. Like it's four groups. If all your team belongs to one group, then your customers are also likely to belong to the same group. So therefore, you're dismissing three-quarters of the population as your customers. The example I use is my lovely estate agent Barry uses the expression "wake up and smell the coffee" as in one of his sales pitches. I'm saying, well, okay, most people wake up, but half the population is not affected by emotion. So smell the coffee doesn't affect them. So that's half of your population dismissed already. And then you've got those who don't like coffee, and that's another chunk of the population. So that message goes to maybe 25% of the people, and the rest of it falls on fallow ground. So get your messages right. Make sure you appeal to everybody. I have a story about renting a car in Dubai, and I was faced with three cars in the sand pit, and the guy's telling me about the size of the engine, how fast it will go, how big the boot or the trunk is, and all the rest of it. And I'm saying, well, I want that one. I said, do you want to know why I want that one? And the answer was because it's brown. You're in Dubai. You've been in Dubai. I'm sure you have. And most of the cars are white. So if you're in one of those massive car parks, one of the main advantages of life is you can find a brown car much faster than a white one. And I say to the guy, you'd be talking to me, you should know I don't do details. So therefore, engine size and all that lot, that's nothing at all. So learning about your customers and what turns them on. If you tell people lots of detail and they don't want it, no good. If you tell people no detail and they do want it, no good. And equally, the policeman going past. Um, and equally, if you appeal to their emotions and they haven't got any, you're wasting your time. That is why you need diversity.
This is such a great reference that you've been telling me about. It's a different perspective to think of the problem, and I really like it. So let's get to my most anticipated question. As a proud Gleek mentor that you've been for a really, really long time, how can you help businesses or companies create this inclusive culture that values and promotes this diversity? Maybe you can spill us some secrets, some steps, some strategies that companies can
Okay,
use.
well, my strategy is very simple. First of all, you might know I met Sally Ann possibly in 2015, but it's a long time ago. And we got on really well. And I was really, really pleased to know her. And when I moved to Spain, I thought, okay, then I will look who are the GLEAC mentors in Spain. And I met this woman who said, go talk to Ian Gibbs. And as a consequence, my entire Spanish network has come from GLEAC. Equally, Maxine Barnett found me in GLEAC, so we have her. And now I think over half of my associates are GLEAC mentors, some on their own behalf, some because, shall we say, I have encouraged them to do so. Uh, but it's a big family. I mean, the great thing about GLEAC is it's a family. You can say things in safety. You can confess that you don't know things. But
Yeah, I know all of these people and they're so wonderful, so I absolutely agree with you.
you're allowed not to know, which is very, very important. And you can ask people and you can find out. I've always worked on knowing who to ask. So the GLEAC group is great. And I've learned such a lot about NFTs and ChatGPT, all those different things. I possibly wouldn't have known them without GLEAC. So it's the GLEAC is the go-to place. And the challenge is always finding which mentors to talk to because there's so many. So look on the website and look at their specialities and then contact them. And that's how mentoring works. And mentoring is about telling people how to do things, and coaching is about enabling people to work out things for themselves. And we have to do both in this world.
Absolutely. I feel like mentors, they don't have to tell you what to do. They have to guide you and help you understand how you do things on your
Correct.
own. Absolutely.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
So
So
let yes.
I've also got and invited people to be GLEAC mentors who aren't my associates either, because I think it could be useful for them. And I've got lots of people have been really pleased. I said, go and talk to Sally Ann, go and do this. And it gets you into this big family. I mean, I run my associates as a small family because there's only 20. But it's still a family, and knowing each other is what is so crucial. So
Mm-hmm.
when you need to ask for help, be confident and ask for help. And the way you earn that is by giving help in the first place. And you might be to somebody else altogether, but it doesn't matter. That's
Mm-hmm.
how the world works.
So this is like the first tip. You have some more on how to build this diversity that you have from your experience. You can even tell us some examples.
I mean, in my diverse team, we have people of very different races from all over the world, and they speak 12 languages. I don't speak 12 languages, but we can do all these things in 12 languages, which is pretty damn good, really. And I work on each of them knowing all the others. So I bring groups together and I get one group to advise the others. And even if they're in competition for work, they still support each other. And that's how you build your team. And you build that team so that when you get a request saying, can you find someone who can teach aerobics in Spanish? I know who to ask. Well, actually, I don't know who to ask for that one, but um, knowing everybody first and knowing how to advise, because I've worked with occasions where we've done the same training remotely and in person with different people at the same time, and that requires knowing people first, so that you're not starting off with how the hell do I do this. You're starting off with we know all these people, we know what they're like, we know everything else, we know who you can phone up. That's what's really, really important about any network, and the GLEAC network is exactly the same thing. Knowing who to, knowing, I mean, it's a big asking, GLEAC, because there's a lot of mentors, but going to see those mentors and find out who knows what. There will be one somewhere who knows it. That is no doubt whatsoever.
Absolutely agree. And actually, I'm thinking when you know your company, when you're confident in your mentors and etc., when customers come to you, they
Hmm.
feel the same level of confidence in your company because you are confident in your company.
Exactly right. And it's taken a long time. I used to be shy and very, very retiring and scared to speak. Now I present with the Professional Speakers Association. So it's a long development path. Develop what, identify what it is you want to improve. And it might be stuff you've got it already, but you want to get better at, or things you've no idea about, and focus on those. And don't do the stuff you're going to be hopeless at all the time, like sport. I don't do sport ever, and I'm not going to.
So,
No.
so before we wrap up, I would still like to ask you, imagine there are still companies who do not acknowledge the importance of diversity. What are some words that you can tell them on, again, on why it's important to do this? Because if you're not, your company will never succeed. Some closing wise words.
Well, basically, if you're not diverse, you will only ever get the customers who are like you.
And it's not a lot. It's
So it's not a lot. Open the world by having your team to be open the entire world, lots of different things. That's it.
yes, that's absolutely like, these are great words. Well, if that's it, David, I'd like to thank you for taking your time and joining my live session. I really enjoyed this conversation. I really like your energy. And if our audience will enjoy this conversation as much as I do, I highly encourage you to check David's profile on GLEAC website and learn how you can work with him to build your diverse team. Thank you so much, David, for taking your time, and I really appreciate your knowledge.
Pleasure. Take care. Bye then.
Thank you. Bye.